All right, hello, Idiots on Parade, the Too Ugly for TV podcast. We mock the news so you don't have to. Hello, Jake.
How's it going?
That is Jake Vevra, stand-up comedian in New York City. I am Nathan Timmel, stand-up comedian in Iowa City, and with us today is Beef Stu McCallister in Grand Rapids. Do you call yourself officially a former comedian now? Because the last time I tried to get you to do a show, you're like, I'm done with this shit.
I'm done with this horseshit. You can never say never, right?
All right.
So it's been forever since I've gotten on stage, but you know.
Thanks for being on the podcast, though, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. I saw the lovely things you guys want to talk about. I'm like, I'm in.
Well, let's jump in with the first thing to talk about, the fun news story. Jake, we've talked about this guy in the past. He's one of our heroes. We love this guy like nobody's business, and I don't know if we're going to be able to talk to him in the future. All the excitement seems to have passed. Hunter Biden was found guilty on gun charges, which means he might drop
free
from the
Hunter
news cycle.
Now, I think they'll have a few choice words to say about him on Fox still.
Probably. Well, so how close attention did either of you pay? I absolutely loved the defense on this. It was fantastic. So they were arguing, the defense was arguing that he falsified, the prosecution was arguing that he falsified the document, that he said he wasn't on drugs when he bought the gun. The defense was arguing, no, he was on drugs, he was on crack before he bought the gun, and then he bought the gun, and for 11 days he was sober, and then he fell off the wagon. But while he owned the gun, he was sober. It was before and after that he was on crack. It was the best goddamn argument ever, and the jury saw right fucking through it. I mean, the balls to stand in front of 12 adults and say, no, we know we have his book, his memoir. We know we have testimony from his wife, from his dead brother's wife, who he was fucking at the time he bought the gun, who found the gun and threw it away, because when you find a gun, that's what you do. You throw it in the garbage. All of them say we have text between him and his daughter who said she can't find him. But you're arguing that he was clean and sober for just the time
he was off at AA meetings the whole time. He couldn't be found.
What a great
It's rough,
defense.
man. Here's the thing. He will. The fact that they have so much dirt on this guy through that laptop and everything else, and this is what they get him with, lying on a gun application. I've done that. I've lied on gun applications and said I didn't take drugs. I was lying. I was Hunter Bidening. I never held a gun to a hooker's head and took pictures of it and left it on a laptop. I never did that. But it's sort of the way I felt about Trump's conviction, where I'm like, dude, he's done so much worse things than had consensual sex with a woman and paid her not to tell anyone about the consensual sex. This is how I feel about Hunter Biden. He's done so much worse things than just lie on the part of the gun application and say, hey, you've been dead sober your entire life, right? Yes, I'll check that box. Give me the gun. We've all lied about that. The fact that Hunter Biden, you couldn't get him on worse shit than this is crazy to me.
I'll let you go in a second. Jake just reminded me of a story. I may have told it to you before, Jake, but really quickly, we've talked about it because we've talked about prostitution. My buddy, I talked him into getting a prostitute in Vegas because he would always go spend $800 at the strip club and say, ooh, she touched my
let
wiener.
her suck your dick.
Yeah, like if you're going to spend $800 on a stripper, just go up to $1,000 and buy a prostitute. So he goes, he gets the prostitute, and then a month or two later, he needs to go to the hospital. And on his intake form, for some reason, the nurse was filling it out, not him. She was just going down a series of check boxes. And she goes, have you ever had, I don't know what it was, but no. And she, have you ever been with a prostitute? No. And he goes, yes. And she paused and said, I already checked no. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. I've been with a prostitute. She's like, well, now I have to start this over. And she said, it just said, no one's ever answered yes. That's why she checked no. She was just going down the nose like you always do. But
right.
So when he said yes, she expected him to lie in his intake form.
You're not hooked up to a lie detector test
let's
right
let
now.
Our guest
this
speak.
is crazy. Yeah.
I really haven't been paying attention to it. Hunter Biden is guilty as fuck. It's what, like you were saying, Jake. It's of course he lied on this whole thing. He had 11 days of sobriety, and that's the time that he chooses to purchase a gun. Like, I find the whole concept is insane. It's like clearly everybody's high as fuck when they buy a gun. That's just how it is. You have to assume they're high. Like, why else are you buying a gun? You're mad, you're angry, you're high. I'm buying a gun.
That was my thought. I want to know why. And I didn't get that out of the defense. And again, I didn't play super, but what was the logic behind, oh boy, I just sobered up. I better get a gun. Like what's the thought process there? I mean,
well, I've always been sober when I bought the gun, but it's like I continued to do drugs later. So I don't know. To me, I'm like, this is such a nothing burger. He didn't threaten anyone with the gun that we know of. We didn't. Well, there is a video of him holding a gun to a hooker's head. Get him for that, man. Like the whole thing where it's like, you've taken drugs in your life and you had a gun. He didn't shoot anyone with it. I'm like, there's such crazier stuff this guy has done than just owning a gun at some point while he was using drugs. I mean, like half the fucking country is guilty of that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. This is the Al Capone thing of like, we can't get him on anything else, but we're going to get him on vaccination, owning a gun, whatever.
But the picture with the hooker, though, we've seen, I don't know, Stu, if you did, but Jake and I promoted the hell out of the leak when all his pictures went online.
Loved it. I got Hunter Biden's laptop photos in like a giant coffee book, like at home.
that photo is more like rap gangster, though. It's not like she was threatened and he's like, I'm going to kill you. It was just like, we're posing with that. And maybe that's why I bought it. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we took some pictures with this? That's probably why I bought it. Not to rob.
I've got another laptop photo shoot that I'm going to do after being up for 3 days. Let's get a gun. Yeah, he's a fun guy. I love Hunter Biden, dude. I'm writing him in for president.
That's why he's great. All right, let's jump into other news. I thought this was fun. Because this one, Stu, one thing Jake and I always love is the clickbait headline. Because like the headline will say one shocking thing and then you click it and the story is about something different. This is a really good one because if you read this story, the story is actually reasonable. It is fair and balanced, probably because it's from Fox News. American College of Pediatricians issues fiery statement condemning child gender transition. And I read that and I'm like, all right, yeah. I mean, we've got a group of medical experts here. They've done a study. They've got scientific. Oh nope, it's just a bunch of religious zealots that hates women and gay people, and who in 2024 still believe in conversion therapy for homosexuality. Just, oh baby Jesus, please don't let me be gay no more. I mean. Whether or not children should have puberty blockers and go through the therapy, that's another discussion. Just the fact that, and the discussion is in the article where they say, hey, the countries in Europe are saying this, the AMA is saying that, like the article's brief, but that headline, that's a grabber. Like, oh, this official sounding group, except it's not an official group. The way I put it is like, imagine the Flat Earth Society rebranded and called themselves something, authoritative. That's right. What this group is.
You just got to give yourself an official sounding name and you're like, oh, this must be like part of the government or something. Well, I gotta believe everything they say. They must know what they sound like. They're physicians or whatever. And it's like, yeah, like you said, you sent that Wikipedia link and you're like, oh, these are all nutbags. They're religious nutbags.
They've been actually labeled a hate group too, but Jake, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, my computer is going to restart in 5 minutes, so I'll make this brief, and then you guys continue, and I'll restart and come back. But yeah, so the thing is people freak out about like puberty blockers, and I did a lot of fucking drugs when I was in high school. I think they are drastically overestimating the appeal of puberty blockers to non-trans kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody out there who's just going to sit there and get convinced to take some puberty blockers if they're not trans. That's not the kind of thing that people do, unless they do actually get you high. Maybe there's some really, maybe there's some really like junked up 17-year-olds like I was, just like, I'm going to feel young again, and they're like, I'm going to mix it with Oxycontin and I'm going to float around like Harry Potter. And I'm going to fuck that Tinkerbell or whatever. I don't know. But the idea that kids are getting tricked into doing this is a weird thing. Puberty blockers aren't like permanent. They're just like they Actually, they were commonly used for little girls who were getting their periods way too early. They just keep whatever's going to happen later. It'll actually make it to where if they do have surgery when they're 18, it's less invasive surgeries and it's nothing permanent. And honestly, if my kid wanted puberty, for one thing, they don't give them out a willy-nilly. It's not a kid who just dyes their hair purple in the ninth grade, and then in the 9.5 grade, they're giving them puberty. That's not how that works. It's kids who are like, since they were 4 or 5 years old, have been claiming they're the other gender or whatever. That they've been doing it for years. So there's a lot of misconception around this shit. And honestly, if my kid was gonna listen, before I buy my kid a whole new wardrobe, they have to take the puberty blockers. All right. You put your money where your mouth is before I replace all your jeans with dresses just because you feel like No, you double down. You take the puberty blockers so you do not get a dress.
No, I was going to say what you just said. I think did you read Abigail Schreier's book, Irreversible Damage?
No.
It's about I guess the best way to sum it up, the trans trend in America right now. And I fully believe in trans rights and I support trans people. I also believe that there are children who just, from birth or able to, when they're speaking like, oh, you're my little boy. I don't feel like a boy. I feel like who know that there's something going on. I also believe that there is a trend right now of emo fucking teenagers who are just changing their pronouns and wanting the likes and the clicks. And yeah, like you said, you don't just throw puberty blockers and I do
but
think
that's not who's getting these things. That's
right. They
shouldn't
be getting them. You have to go through years of therapy. And I think what people are freaking out about are the stupid emo kids who claim to be trans or gay or bi when they're not, when they're just fucking jumping on a bandwagon. And who knows why those idiots do it. But yeah, I that's what I was. Yeah.
Like, dude, if what the conservatives were claiming was true about gender affirming care, then I would be against it too. If there was just like angry middle school shop teachers, gym teachers, whatever, with little purple crew cuts going, do any of you kids not feel like a man or a woman? Then I'm going to cut your dicks off. I got a necklace of kids' dicks because I'm woke. Like if that was going on, then I would be against it too. That's not what's happening. It's puberty blockers and only in extremely rare cases where since early childhood, they've felt like they are not that gender. And that's not something that's just going to go away. For people who think like, oh, well, with all of this acceptance of trans people and blah, 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 blah. It's tricking the kids into being trans and all this drag queen story hour. It's making them think they're trans. For those people, I would ask, how many times would I have to throw on a dress and read you Green Eggs in Ham before you cut your dick off and blew me? If there's a number, you're part rainbow already. So like, it's not, you can blame drag queen story all you want, but that's not it.
Stu, jump in with some thoughts. We've been talking over.
Do you think Hunter Biden was high on these puberty blockers? That's what I want to know. Do you think he?
Shit, yeah, dude. I think he was free bracing. I think it made him young. It made him feel like a 34-year-old man in his early 50s.
That's right. He was on those. He's like, I feel so much better.
I'm gonna go hold a gun to Tigger Bell's head and fuck her.
It's a made up argument. I think this is just like another weird thing that people are getting upset by. The whole concept of trans stuff. Like, yes, it is out there, but it's not like this crazy epidemic that everybody everywhere is changing their genders. I'm not seeing it. I don't believe it. Right? Like it's out there.
Well, my daughter is she just finished 5th grade.
Yeah.
And she has a couple friends that are sort of, how do I put this? Oddballs. They're not and they sort of do it. But I don't think they know what they're like. Oh, today I'm a they, tomorrow I'm a she. But when you talk to these kids, they're the fucking, for lack of a better term, they're different. Not yes. In a different trans way, but just in a they're just different is all. I don't know how
they're the kids in when I was in high school who would have been wearing the Jinko jeans and stuff like that, like I did.
Yeah.
Now my pronouns would be they, their. It would be something,
You know what this reminds me of? Oh, well, and my sister and all her other friends, I talked about this once, not on here, but I took them all sledding, and you could hear them in the background. They're laughing and saying, first of all, they were talking about bullying, like, oh, that's bullying behavior. You need a consent in order to push me down the hill or something. They were making fun of everything they were being told to respect. Like they'd get these lectures on bullying behavior and consent, and they mocked it. And they were saying things like, I identify as an awesome sledder. Like whatever you tell kids, they're gonna mock. They're gonna turn it on their head.
Right.
And so yeah, they make fun of the they them terms and the different pronoun. Like the kids are sick of it. So this reminds me of the satanic panic, where suddenly every fucking daycare was worshiping Satan and sacrificing babies, and it turned out all not to be true. And yes, I get where the fear comes from. You want to protect kids. And yes, there are a ton of emo stupid teenagers who are buying too much into the they them bullshit. But there are genuine trans people out there, and they should be supported. And fuck, if they need 10 years of therapy to figure out who they are, God bless them, give them that therapy. I don't know why we have to legislate against. And then there are the assholes like that dude with the dick who tries to swim for the women's team and got to. I mean, that's bullshit too. You get this an asshole like that who says, oh, I identify as a woman. Here's my penis in the locker room. And that gets a reaction. So maybe the right can calm down, the left can stop supporting assholes like that swimmer, and we can find a middle ground, which is, oh, you want to swim for the women's team? Fucking snip that off. You need to fucking get that snipped off. And
well, I think you would still kind of have a clearly, because it's about the fact that you've gone through puberty as a male. You have a stronger frame. You've had testosterone pumped into you from.
You've got to have like a number of years of therapy. Yeah.
I'm still cool with that because I have a little app on my phone called DraftKings. I bet against the cisgendered ones every time. That's right. I learned from Biff and Back to the Future too.
No, actually, you learned from the movie Top Secret when I believe it was Omar Sharif is like. In women's tennis, he was talking to the Omar Sharif was not saying this.
Look at you going with such an obscure reference. No one knows.
Not
what
obscure.
The
it's a
fucking
fucking Abrams Zucker's movie. It was just their follow up to Airplane. It's a great movie, but in women's tennis, I always root against the heterosexual. It's just
what are you 1,000 years old? No one knows. Joe Biden don't even remember Airplane 2. What are we talking? You're not even going with the original.
We're talking about Airplane 2. That was William Shatner. I said Airplane, and then the follow up, Top Secret.
A follow up is a sequel, right?
No, the Zucker had nothing to do with Airplane 2. They were smart. They said, we're going to do Top Secret. Paramount made Airplane 2 on their own. That's why it was a piece of shit and bombed.
Yeah, and I've never heard of this movie until right now, man.
Top Secret is fucking fantastic.
It all in and then had to go and explain. You had to give me the IMDb on this movie to where I still have never.
One of Val Kilmer's first movies. It was that and Real Genius.
Okay, wait a minute. I kind of remember Real Genius, but if we're talking Val Kilmer before Top Gun, what are we doing here, man? That's not a reference that works in 2024. You're going deep cut Val.
He was a leading man in both of those movies. He wasn't a side man.
He didn't make money. He got paid bus tokens for this movie. That was
probably, but still.
Come on now.
All right, moving on. Oh, let's go to some light news. Like Hunter Biden wasn't light news. I actively found the dumbest family on the planet. This North Texas family went looking for a new dog on Facebook, but now they're out a whopping $20,000. Holy shit. You read this article and basically they put a deposit on the dog. Oh, wait, the dog needs shots. Oh, wait, the dog needs this. They kept transferring money. All they got was a picture. First of all, it's not money. Wasn't it gift cards?
I already forgot. Gift cards. You can't track that
gift
shit
cards.
Easy,
okay, first of all, that one warning sign, it's online. You don't see them. I'm sure there are reputable breeders anywhere within a 100-mile radius of you in Texas. So one, online. Two, you're getting asked to pay in gift cards. Holy fuck, are you dumb? And then three, you spent up to $20,000 on these gift cards. This is fucking insane. Like you hear these stories about people getting scammed and you feel bad for them. And then you read the breakdown like, no, I don't feel bad for them at all. They're fucking dumb. They just kept like they could have been lighting money on fire at this point. How do you, I love how the article said that's a new scam. Like, oh, you've got to watch out for this. No, you don't. You don't have to watch out for shit. You don't.
Just be smart. Be smart.
I really just wanted a dog, Kelly said, but it wasn't worth what we put ourselves through. Yeah, you put yourself through it. You put yourself through it.
Did they say what the gift cards were for?
Oh,
Was it for like
boy.
Victoria's Secret? A
No,
vape shop?
usually it's like Amazon or Apple gift cards.
Right.
It was yeah, I mean, if Hunter Biden had done this, I think he should way more be in jail than for the gun thing, dude. This is so much more fucked up than the gun thing. If he had either done it to people or fallen for it and bought a gun, I'd be like, he's way too high to have a gun. Clearly, I know I've been high and had guns, but I haven't been high enough to send 20 grand in gift cards to Texas for a fucking dog I haven't seen. You shouldn't have a gun if you're that fucked up.
You think the scammers were like, how dumb are these fucking idiots? They just keep feeding us more money.
Yeah.
20 grand for a dog?
And they did it twice. What they said was, it's gift cards are easier for us because we don't have to pay for a credit card machine to run your credit cards. The last time, the only time we bought a dog years and years ago, I believe it was $700. If you run a business, and we bought it from a breeder, but we drove there and picked it up, it was, and they had a thing where, oh, we need more money. The breeder's van broke down. How far away did you buy this dog? You couldn't find anything. What about your local shelter, for fuck's sake? Either way,
Right.
if you have a business, and I'm not a business person, I'm not a CEO, but if you have a business of any sort, you're going to have a credit card machine. I have a credit card app on my phone for my little t-shirts I sell after my showy shows. Hey, folks, I just told some dick jokes. Now buy a t-shirt from me.
Right.
Who are these fucking dumb people?
I get annoyed enough when I go into like a store or a bar or something here and just order one drink and they're like, oh yeah, we don't take cards, and it's like, oh, good thing it's 1987. No, wait, it's 2024. Take the fucking cards. And I'm sorry. Hey man, I love everybody in the service industry. If your business does not take cards and I got to fucking, but we have an ATM and I got to pay a fucking fee that's coming out of your tip. Hey, I know it ain't your fault. Get it from the fucking owner. He clearly ain't paying taxes on this shit. So I should not have to pay a $3 ATM card because the guy who owns this shithole doesn't want to pay taxes. That's fucked up.
Well, and on the other hand, I just read a story at some point in this past week, within the past 5 days, there was a complaint that Yankee Stadium only takes credit cards. So what she had to do is she only had cash. She had to go to a reverse ATM. She had to put cash into a machine and buy a burner card, and then lost a $3 fee,
Jesus
and then
Christ.
go buy food with like
That's
she
the other
put in.
extreme. That's
I mean, it's like, Jesus Christ, they're getting you at both ends. It's fucking insane.
Yeah. That's it. Who doesn't have an ATM card? Okay, you probably shouldn't be spending money on Yankees tickets if you straight up don't have a bank account. Like, you got some shit. You got to like fuck it. Don't go to a 9-inning game. Figure out what's wrong with your life if you don't have a bank card in 25. That was always my whole thing where they go the voter ID thing. It's blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, if you don't have a picture ID, not like, oh, I lost my ID last night, but I just don't have IDs. You ain't voting. You have such bigger problems with your life. You don't get, but I got to figure out what's going on with this next election before I blow a dude for an 8-ball. Like, no one's doing, you're either blowing the dude for the 8-ball or you're standing in line to vote. You're not doing both of those things. Unless you're Hunter Biden. Then you're doing it with a gun.
The only reason they're not blowing a guy in line is because of all the new restrictions on voting, where you can't hand out water, you can't hand out food, and you can't blow guys in line.
Yeah. There was a guy in the 40s who wouldn't let people blow anyone in line while voting for him. His name was Hitler. How dare you?
The worst thing about this whole article is these dumb people had 20 grand to blow on a dog, and they thought that was completely reasonable. 20 grand on a dog? Okay, there you go.
That they had 20 grand in the first place.
Yeah. Well, how do these dumb fucks have 20 grand?
Yeah, anyone who can spend 20 grand on a dog, they didn't say, not one who it's like, oh, he's been in the family for a decade and we're digging ourselves in debt to keep him alive. Different thing. Just, we heard his name is Cupcake, and so we're dropping 5 digits. Fuck you. You should be taxed until you're dead.
Well, off what Stu just said, okay, my thought process is, at what point is too much? Because, okay, you got me for the deposit. oh, we need this. Do you? I have a local vet for the shots. You know, like, oh, we need to get the paper, the shots, the at what point, like, because they obviously kept leveling up. Oh, we need 1,000 for this. We need 500 for this. Like, at no point it kicks in and you say, oh shit, we should put the brakes on. But apparently 20,000 is that pump the brakes spot. That you have too much money. You should have donated to your local food pantry. Or yeah, I loved my dog. We spent $1,000 a month roughly keeping our dog alive because we had known him and loved him for 10 years at that point. But
Right.
a new
Yeah,
dog, I'm questioning a lot sooner. When
I
they're
will
asking for
give
money.
a dog I have never met to Michael Vick for about $300. That's what it would take for me to Michael Vick a dog I've never met. I would not give a shit.
All right. I am going to admit right here, I don't understand business. I don't. I said earlier in the podcast, I'm not a business person. Tesla shareholders to vote whether Elon Musk deserves billions judge struck down. They offered him a $50 billion package. And the way I said I don't understand business is Tesla was founded in California. He got pissed at California during COVID, moved to Texas, but the Tesla's headquartered in Delaware with a PO box, basically, even though nothing takes place there because Delaware is business friendly. And now, after this ruling, they say, well, we're just going to move to Texas. You're already in Texas. Fucking corporations are a sham. The tax system's a sham. You could literally just set up like, oh, I live in Iowa, but I'm going to pay Florida taxes just because, they're better than Iowa. Like, the idea of corporations having a headquarters or a home base and the fact that they can move it around and this 50 billion, all they're going to do is just print a ton of fucking stock and hand it to him. Doesn't that devalue the stock?
You would think as much, right? I mean, if there's way more out there, then it's not as worth as much, right? It's supply and demand would be my guess.
Yeah.
How did a judge get involved in all of this? Like, is it not a corporation that makes its own rules?
Right.
Well, a shareholder took him to court when with the initial, we're going to give this CEO $50 billion. It was great. A shareholder said, no, I own stock in this company. Fuck you, you're not. Went to court and the judge ruled in that person's favor saying you can't give him $50 billion. It did just get overturned, I believe.
Sure.
This article is a couple days late. I do believe he won the 50 billion. I'm not positive. I thought I heard that somewhere.
It's crazy to fuck up a company bad enough to where like major shareholders in the company are like, we'd rather pay you $50 billion than have you keep making decisions.
No, they want him back. That's the whole thing.
Okay. I read that wrong. I thought they were trying to pay him out.
Valuable to Tesla that they want him to fuck off with Twitter and get back to turn Tesla
that makes
around.
Sense. Okay, sorry. I read that way wrong. Yeah.
Even though right here, at the board meeting, they need Musk to turn around a company facing its greatest trouble in several years. Tesla's stock price slid by more than half from its peak in late 2021.
Man.
Its sales have been falling short. That's the other thing. We've talked about this when I say I don't understand. You have these quarterly earnings reports and the stock price, they bet it's gambling based on projections. They say, ooh, we think Tesla is going to sell 1,000 cars. So we're going to buy a bunch of the stock and the stock price goes up. And then they release their earnings report and they say, oh, we only sold 500 cars. We're still in the black. It's still a profitable company, but we didn't hit our projections. So then the stock price plummets. It's like, is the company in the red or is it in the black? That's all it should fucking matter. So you gamble on projections, and then the stock price is a sliding scale based on the air, based on ether.
Well, another thing where I don't think necessarily all of this is Elon. I think a lot of it is dropping because if you wanted an electric car back in the day,
reason that everything's
and so that's going to happen whether he's there or not. So that's why I think now I think he's fucking up a lot by going to Twitter and dicking around there as opposed to, spending his time with the electric car company. It's like, dude, who cares what they say about you on Twitter? You're the world's richest man and you made electric cars a thing. Tell him to suck your dick while you're on a yacht with 15 Brazilian models or something. I don't know why you cared about what people on Twitter were saying in the first place. This is crazy to me, but it's also like, all that aside, there is more competition. I mean, Henry Ford, when he invented the Ford, he pretty much had a lock on cars, and then more people started making cars. So, I mean, that's just, it's just part of the whole game, man.
Yeah.
As
Stu,
the
any
richest guy in
thoughts?
the world, I'm really curious as to how much he would pay for a dog. 20 million? Is that the
Yeah.
appropriate price for a dog? 20
That's
mil?
true, but his dog would have like the head of a tiger. It would be like one of those Island of Dr. Monroe dogs. It would be wild, man.
A lot of strange angles to it, like his Cybertruck.
Yeah, yeah. It would start rusting. Like there'd be problems with some of the later models.
All
Those
right.
things are the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't understand people who like those Cybertrucks.
They look like, I think it's for people who like the idea of, because they kind of look like armored proof vehicles from futuristic movies.
Right,
I
right.
think it's for people who want to pretend they're in Demolition Man or something.
Yeah. Total recall.
RoboCop.
Gotta get it. If I was high with Hunter Biden and going around buying drugs and cars, we would get coked up and we would buy a Tesla or a Tesla truck. And you know those shotguns that where you kind of like you'd load the tubes on the top, like we would get those.
Right.
Nice. All right. Speaking of caring what people think about us, we've have a sort of running. I don't know how much longer we can do this, but it's time to feed the troll as we run out of time. Jake and I have a fan that likes to leave comments, and Jake, I sent you. He addressed you this week. I'm gonna quick take mine. This week he told me, he said, talk about gaslighting your audience. Duh. I know Trump inherited Obama's economy, but you weren't giving history, blah, 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 blah. So I went back to look at the previous comment. Last week we called him out because I said that Trump tanked Obama's economy. He said he took Obama's economy. You suffer. So you can't say I'm gaslighting. You literally posted that Trump did it all on his own. You posted that you didn't believe he took Obama's economy, and then now you're saying he did. You're all over the place. And also, when you say you were commenting on why things were cheap under Trump, cheap is spelled CHEAP, not CHEEP. One more thing. Everything the Democrats are accused of, they did with remember when Bill Clinton paid hush money for sexual assaults, and was it taxpayer money? Hey, you want to talk taxpayer money? How much did Ken Starr, who is burning in hell right now, spend on the Whitewater investigation that was supposed to be about a land deal, but when they discovered there wasn't shit there, they turned it to blowjob and spent hundreds of millions of dollars just because he got a blowjob? You want to talk about wasting taxpayer money? How about we're going to say that Hunter Biden paid his dad tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars through Burisma, except we can't find that. So all we're going to do is shout about Hunter Biden, even though we've for months we've been saying there's a tie. And every time we're asked, okay, present the tie, they can't. It's forever out there. But Jake, you want to respond to your comment to you, directly to you?
Oh, yeah. What was the comment directly to me again? Let me
Jake,
read
what
that.
makes Trump the worst president in your lifetime? Was it the record lows in unemployment, the historic tax cuts, which were for the rich and expired for the middle class?
For
so those
billionaires, and not historic low unemployment. Joe Biden's beat that after it.
Maybe it was moving the U.S.
COVID,
embassy to Jerusalem. How about making sure the strategic?
Oh yeah, that really helped relations right now between Israel and a little place called Palestine. That really, yes.
How about or the destruction of ISIS? Talking about ISIS, notice how terrorist attacks were happening every few days during the end of Obama's term, but completely stopped during Trump's day. Otherwise, yes, like it's a magic switch.
I'm sure this guy gave Obama 100% credit for killing bin Laden too. I think the military has more to do that with. In fact, when it comes to ISIS, I think other countries' militaries had more to do that with that than ours. I think we helped with that, sure, but. Yeah.
Here's the problem with feeding a troll is this person has no. I wonder if they're serious. I can't tell if someone is either just really dumb or serious.
No, this guy's serious. And he's conveniently leaving out the last year of Trump's presidency, which he completely lost his reelection because of. He politicized a medical catastrophe that was not political at all. The dude could have, and again, all the policy stuff aside that we just talked about, the worst thing that he did was the not giving over the peaceful transfer of power. The fact that he was willing to full on say the hell with democracy. I'm going to use my power to try to get extra votes in these states. We have him on the phone doing that. The fact that he had people fucking storm the Capitol when they were trying to certify the results. That's
Well,
what
he
happens
mentioned that
in
in
third world
another
fucking
comment where he
countries.
said, "Oh, he said protest peacefully." Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, but yeah, so again, I've said this on here before. If he hadn't have politicized COVID, the right wouldn't be going so crazy, or wouldn't have been going so crazy with the whole like we're not going to social distance. We're going to make up weird conspiracy shit about the vaccine. The left wouldn't have gone so crazy to where it's like, well, it's politicized now. We got to go hard the other way. It could have been treated like it should have been a medical issue that would have been run by doctors and not politicians, right? So like that's the whole thing. And he could have won that election in a landslide if he would have just been like, we are going to come together as Americans and beat this pandemic. He did the equivalent in COVID as if George Bush would have come out on 9/12 and have been like, the towers got knocked down yesterday because Nancy Pelosi is a dumb cunt. Thank you. No further questions. It would have been a way different 4 years. It would have been a way different election between him and Kerry. And so that's why he lost, dude.
we're going to get cut off. Find Jake at Jake Vevra on all the social media. Twisted Cupid live on YouTube every Thursday. Jake, new father, several days old baby. Happy Father's Day to you,
Congrats.
my
Father's
friend.
Day.
I can be found at nathantimmel.com. And before we get cut off, Stu, tell them about the LMNOP podcast.
Elemental Podcast. Find it on all your platforms for podcasting. It's just me ranting like a lunatic, kind of like you guys do here.
There you go. All right. Good to see your faces. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
I'm going to go
guys.
smoke crack with Hunter Biden and buy guns and
Ooh,
Tesla trucks.
I'm jealous.